The divorce papers trembled slightly in my hand, but not from sadness or hesitation. It wasn't grief that made my fingers shake, nor any trace of regret. It was restraint, because across from me, my soon-to-be ex-wife sat with her legs neatly crossed, her face carefully neutral and her eyes dry. But behind that composed expression was something more dangerous than remorse. There was quiet satisfaction, as if she had already won, and was trying not to smile too soon. Behind her stood the man she had replaced me with, dressed in clothes that screamed smug confidence, holding my whiskey like it was his birthright, casting his gaze around the home I had built with pride. He tilted his head back and whistled in admiration. "This place is stunning," he said, as if it belonged to him. I said nothing. I simply slid the divorce papers across the marble island between us. She didn't reach for them. She didn't need to. She'd rehearsed this moment in her mind for months, maybe years. I could see it in the way she didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't even pretend to be conflicted. "I'll be taking all my personal belongings," I said evenly. "Of course," she replied with feigned kindness that would have fooled anyone who hadn't once loved her. "Whatever you need." She thought I meant a suitcase or two, maybe my old books, my wristwatch. She had no idea what I'd already taken or what I had planned. I used to believe in forever. We met during a summer storm. She'd been soaked to the skin, shivering and furious with the sky, when I gave her my umbrella, my coat, and eventually, without knowing the cost, my name, my trust, and every tender part of myself. She used to laugh with her entire body, throw her arms around me like I was the center of her world. She touched me like I was real, like I mattered. It wasn't perfect, but it was sincere, or so I thought. In my world of signed deals and hard truths, that illusion was priceless. Then the shift came, subtle at first. Her phone flipped face down when she'd never cared before. Sudden trips, a chill in her kiss. I rationalized it, told myself we were just tired, that life had grown heavy, that every marriage ebbs and flows. But lies, real lies, have a scent, and hers clung to her skin like a cologne I didn't wear. It was the third Thursday of October, when it all cracked. I came home early from a meeting that had been canceled last minute. Quietly, no text, no call. Her car was in the driveway. Music drifted through the windows. Inside, I heard laughter. A man's voice. Hers, soft, flirtatious. I didn't storm in. I didn't shout or demand an explanation. I stood in the hallway and listened. I let the truth sink in and break, whatever remained of the man I used to be. But I didn't unravel. I evolved. What she forgot, what she never understood, was that before I was her husband, I was a strategist, a fixer, a man who cleaned up other people's disasters with a cold smile and clean hands. She thought she could outmaneuver me, but she mistook kindness for weakness. So I smiled more, asked her about her day, brought home lilies, knowing she hated them, just to watch her pretend to be grateful. At night, while she slept beside me, I worked. I dismantled the empire we had built together, piece by piece, in the shadows. First, the finances. I quietly transferred funds into untouchable trusts. I sold stocks in tiny slivers, barely a ripple in the market. I rewrote wills, changed beneficiaries, eliminated every loose thread. Second, the house. The title was transferred months ago to a holding company under a name she wouldn't recognize. To her, it still looked like our home. To the law, it wasn't hers at all. Third, the evidence. I hired someone discreet, someone with no ties to me, no digital footprint linking back. He followed them, recorded everything. Photos, videos, receipts, GPS logs, months of betrayal, logged and cataloged. Fourth, the lawyer, the same one she told me she planned to use. I paid him first. Retainer signed. Conflict of interest secured. I waited not for justice, but for performance. She served me divorce papers with the arrogance of someone who believed she was 2 steps ahead. She rehearsed every word, every gesture. She thought she was handing me my own end. She wanted the house, the car, half the assets. Behind her, her lover hovered like a shadow with teeth, smug and silent. He winked at me. I returned the nod and said calmly, Let's meet at the house. Sort out what's yours and what's mine. I want a clean break." She agreed too quickly. Which brings us to now. I moved through each room with purpose. Each piece of furniture, each painting, every decorative object, already removed, replaced with identical fakes. The safe was empty. My files gone. My watch collection already offshore. The art on the walls, all replicas. She noticed nothing until she opened a drawer and found it bare. "You're really going to take everything?" she asked, suspicion replacing smugness. "I said I'd take all my personal belongings," I answered. Her lover scoffed. "You're being petty, man." "No," I said without looking at him. "Just thorough." Then came the knock. The sound was sharp, final. At the door stood 2 officers, a lawyer, and a man in a suit with a court order in hand. I turned to her. "I forgot to mention," I said, "your boyfriend's on probation. That affair you recorded so proudly, that's a violation." She paled. Her mouth dropped open. "What is this?" he growled, snatching the paper. His hand shook harder than mine ever had. "And you've both been living here rent-free," I added. "That's fraud. This house? You never owned it. You just decorated it. Technically, your signature makes you liable for damages." One of the officers stepped forward. "We'll need you both to step outside. There's a claim of unlawful occupancy, and your vehicle is being repossessed." She screamed. Not words, just raw, panic noise. Her lover turned on her instantly. "You said you had everything handled." I watched them both unravel like paper in a storm. They never saw the edge until they were already falling. Now I sit in the middle of what used to be our bedroom. The floor is bare. The walls echo again. And for the first time in years, the silence feels honest. All that remains is a small wooden box beside me. Inside, faded photos from days when I still believed in her, dried petals from a wedding bouquet, old letters from a version of her that once seemed real. I'll burn it later, not from bitterness, from ritual. Some ghosts don't deserve to be kept. They deserve fire. They thought they were playing chess. But I built the board, and sometimes the king walks away alone, undefeated.